Hi, FlossTube. My name is Shelly. Welcome to my FlossTube channel, Oh My Ada. This is a channel about cross stitch and probably a little life updates. I have about 8 followers, so I feel like I can put things in here that I want to remember that you might not normally talk about or you might be tired of talking about. But it's been 2.5 months since I recorded a floss tube. I have so much to say, and I'm ready to get started. So before I put my mug down, isn't this the cutest? This is, I think, my favorite coffee mug. I got it when I was at Crayola World. Crayola. Um, they have a store, and the Crayola experience in Minneapolis in the Great Mall of America or the Mall of America. And I was lucky enough to go there. And they do let teachers in for free. And about this as I left the gift shop. So that was exciting for me. All right. So I think I want to start with my new starts. What starts have I had since I've seen you? And in 2.5 months, I actually have only started 2 projects. I was going to say my problem is, but I actually don't see it as a problem. I'm more of a full coverage person. And so I thought I would show you my full coverages. And again, I did start 2. The first one you might recognize, Greyfriars Sampler. I saw this on Cheryl McKinney's FlossTube when she was talking about her mania starts. And when I saw this, it just checked so many of my boxes, and I really wanted to have it. I love all the motifs in the basket, and the alphabet is amazing. So I started that Greyfriars sampler, and I've worked on it for about a week. And this is how much I have finished. I want to put in the first line, I want to put the H in, and then I'm going to count and I'm going to start the very large motifs in the basket, whether they're considered flowers or whatever. Now, if I recollect correctly, Cheryl did not, she did not decide on this pattern. When I saw this pattern, I went straight to 1, 2, 3 stitch and I bought the pattern and I clicked and bought all of the flosses and everything else. But I did have the fabric because it's the fabric of the month, and this is Heartland from Crazy Annie. I know it's hard to see because of the shadows, and I'm not doing a great job, but all of the colors are just so vibrant, and that is something else that I'm excited about with working on Greyfriars Sampler. All right. I've spent maybe 6 days on it, and it's just so much fun to stitch. Except, one letter I did the wrong color and I took it out. You know, we all frog a little bit. The second, um, the second whip that I started, my new start, I had purchased this pattern to start when I was at um, HadeCon, but HadeCon was canceled, and I got the refund, and I was a little bummed about it, but I was still okay because I knew that StitchCon was still going. And so what I did is I went to 1, 2, 3 Stitch and I ordered all the floss, probably the third week of March because our shelter in place had just started, and um, Michael's was closed as well as the cross stitch stores. So I have this very itty bitty start, and what I'll do is I'm going to insert a picture wherever it goes. I don't know where I'm going to put it. But this is Mini Autumn Magic by Randall Spangler. And I really love his designs. The only the only concern I have, and really believe me, I don't necessarily care about the back of my projects, but the back of this project is getting so bulky. And you can see um, the other the other pattern I'm working on, which is also Randall Spangler, I'm doing line by line, and there's not as much bulk in the back. And I'm trying to decide right now if I'm going to go back to doing line by line or if I'm going to continue to work in the 100 block squares. And having this easy grid fabric makes my life so much better. It doesn't mean that I'm not making mistakes, but it's helping me keep my place much easier. So what I had decided to do in December is I was going to join Stitch from Stash. Miss Oh So Crafty, or Stephanie, she does the Stitch from Stash. But buying Greyfriars Sampler and buying all the floss for um, my Haid, what I realized is I have all the patterns that I could need or want, but I don't have the flosses. And so my stitch from Stash this time is more theoretical, and I'll get back into that. I'm still trying to keep count, but as I was working on whips, I was getting them to the point where I could fill in large blocks of color at StitchCon. And so I'm sure you know by now StitchCon is canceled. So I'm going to go ahead and spend Mania working on the whips that can be finished during the week. And I'll work on new starts that I'm interested in, one per weekend. It can be less, but it'll be up to me to decide what I want to start on those weekends. The last thing I want to mention about my Haid is that typically I'm going to always work on minis. And the reason behind that is Haid has so many awesome patterns that I could never get them all done, or even the ones I like. I would never ever be able to get them all done. Not only that, if the Haid took 2, 3 years, my my likes change. And so by working on minis, I can work on multiple projects and they won't be a 5 or 6 year project. And I'll have finished work at the end. So now that you've seen my two new starts in the past 2 months, I thought I would share with you my two whips. I do have more than the two whips, but these are the two that I've been working on, and I've shown them before. This is Coffee Break, and there are 12 coffee cups, and so there'll be a total of 12 squares. This is my birthday Sal, and it's Java 365 Sal, SAL, and I really love how they're turning out. Like I had mentioned, I was leaving all the background, which is one color. I was leaving it blank for HaidCon, but because HaidCon is canceled, I'm going to start filling in more of the squares. And so that's something that I want to work on because my goal was to have one square finished a month. And my birthday, Sal, I started October 1st. So by October 1st of 2020, I'd like to have all 12 of these done. Now, the background color behind each cup, and you can see I'm doing the blue here, all of the background color is color that I chose. so that these would look more like the original artwork, um, because the patterns come from artwork, and I found that the artwork I liked better than the cross stitch. So I'm finding a way to balance the two. Coffee Break is being stitched on 25 count antique white Lugana. I did not use the Ada cloth that was in the kit. And you can also find the kit on um, Amazon for around $20. And like I said, it's a kit and it has all the color. If you want to do background color like I did to match, what I wish I would have thought of was doing a half stitch instead of a full stitch. I believe the half stitch would be sufficient coverage. I just didn't think about it before I started, and I'm not the type of person to, rip out and start over. I'd just rather finish with what I'm doing. The other whip I'm doing, I started January 1st with quite a few other people. And this is, I'm not getting good light. Okay. Uh, Sorry, I'm not getting good light. This is the Quaker Sow by Linens and Threads. And the top here, this was January. This piece and the flower pot were February. I have March, which is here incomplete, and there's another little motif here, and that would finish March. And up here is a huge potted plant, which would be April. So I'm behind on this one, but I do enjoy stitching it, so I will get back to this. I'm stitching the um, Friends and Family Quaker on 32 count Tycho, Ticho. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I finally realized what it reminded me of. And don't ask me where this memory came from. It could be camp, uh, but it reminds me of a discolored pillow where there's the yellows and the dark browns. Now, I don't have a pillow like that, but in my mind, from somewhere, that's kind of what it reminds me of. And now that I've thought of that, I can't get it out of my mind, which is rather bizarre. Sorry, my glasses need to get fixed, but I'm not leaving the house. First of all, I'm quarantined and this is my second week of quarantine. But even if I do, or when I do leave the house again, I don't know if I'm just going to go to um, the eye doctor and get my glasses adjusted in a new prescription. I'm not sure I'm ready for that at this moment. I already mentioned that I have a plan for 24 hours of cross stitch, and I did have a New Year's start. I worked on my New Year's start for 3 days, and I realized I was working on the pattern and I wouldn't have enough room on the fabric. So I stopped. Well, now I have a new breath, and I realized that for 24 hours, I can work on this one project and get a really good start on it. Because I already talked about the project I'm going to show you, I'm going to refer you back to my FlossTube 8. And what I'm going to restart is Joyful Teddy. Miss Oh So Crafty has finished this. I love hers. And a half stitch cross stitch, she's uh, Dina. She has finished this as well. In fact, I won this from her when she was doing her giveaway. So I will start this on Friday in just a day and a half, because today's Wednesday. I already have it kitted up. The floss is ready to go. I have a bag to store it in. And just so I'm ready when I wake up, I have my fabric already stretched out. And this is an opalescent. It is 20 count silver white Lugana. And I bought this on 123 Stitch, but I absolutely love the fabric. And I think it's perfect for this project because it's a teddy bear sitting in front of a window with snow in the background. So I think the silver Lugana, the sparkle, will add to the atmosphere. I'll be working on Eloise. That's what I named her. And like I said, you can go back and look at my FlossTube 8 when I had a naming ceremony with her. And 3 days is plenty. And I think it'll give me the motivation and the energy to get back into the project instead of wondering when I'm going to get to it. So that's all I'm going to work on during 24 hours of cross stitch. It's blank now, and when I do my next floss tube video, you'll be able to see the progress I made in just those 3 days. All right. So finally, I'm going to talk a little bit about mania. I'm not doing a new start every day. That doesn't work for me. And in fact, it produces anxiety with me. In fact, because I like full coverage pieces, I'm actually going to add in smaller pieces into my rotation. So let me start with the ones I want to finish. For me, I'm talking about the whips I want to finish in the order when I stopped working on them. So the first one I'm going to show you is my oldest whip, and I'm working on white Ada cloth. And this comes from Cheryl McKinney, and she had a No Drama Club Sal. You can see that I'm almost done with the letterings and the flower, and then I just have to put a flower over here. Honestly, once I fix this A, the pattern, depending on how many hours I have to work on this, it should only take me a day to a day and a half. And then that's what I'm working on for 1 week. When I finish this, I'm not going to jump into a new pattern, but I can work on one of the other whips I want to work on during Mania. And then on the weekend, and at the end of talking about my whips and how I'm going to finish them, at the end, I'll go through the patterns that I may replace these with. So, No Drama Club, Cheryl McKinney. I never finished it because I realized my lettering was off by a few, just one letter, A, but it was off by a few counts. On the last 24 hours of cross stitch, I worked on Pirates Love Christmas. This is, and I'm sure you can read it, it's a 28 count Mystic Cashel. And I worked on this 2/1, and I love how full it looks. The only part I have left to do is the lettering. And so my goal is for another week to finish the lettering. Again, the lettering should take me a few hours to get done. It won't take my entire week, but then I will be able to work on other stuff that I'm going to pull up to show you. Another project I'd like to share with you is not the Sal that everybody's working on, Baby It's Cold Outside, but this is the same name, Baby It's Cold Outside, but this is from Cross Stitcher magazine, and I fell in love with it when I saw it. This is on 20 count chocolate Lugana, and I finished this mug, but what I need to add is the color. It's one solid color. And then up here are about 25 to 30 French knots to look like chocolate sprinkled on top. This is a gift for my mother. She's already seen it. I was working on it like gangbusters December, and I didn't finish it for Christmas. I'd never planned to, but I was going to give it to her for her birthday on January 4th. But when I went over to her house, in the end of December. She was already packing up her Christmas things. And so I realized that I could just save this and finish it on a night when I'm tired. But now I'm going to finish this as one of my finishes during Mania. How long will that take me? It shouldn't take me long at all. I already mentioned the linens and thread sampler, Sal, that I'm working on. Or actually, it's a Quaker, Friends and Family Quaker. I'm working on that. And because I'm behind, I'm putting that into Mania so that I can catch back up, at least getting March done and most of April. If I'm not completely done with it, I'm not going to lose sleep. Finally, I say that, I'm also going to work. I have two of these Mill Hill kits started. I did all of this. I'm sorry about the glare. I did all of the stitching, and now I just need to do the beadwork. That could take, a while because I haven't beaded in forever. So this will take me the longest out of all my whips that I would like to complete. The other ones aren't going to take much time. Um, so in fact, I could put two of those to finish in 1 week, and I think that's realistic. So I want to talk about one more project I'll work on during Mania, and then I'll show you my possible starts. I started this whip um, July 4th weekend, 2019. It is a long dog sampler, and I know a lot of you are working on the Sal right now. This is Rose Marquis, and I purchased this specifically to be my travel piece because I wanted to be able to see it, and I also didn't want to have to worry about color changes. And I have gotten a good portion of it done. You can see my needle minder back down there too. Now, you can't tell, and I apologize, my lighting is horrible, and I have a feeling the backdrop color isn't amazing for this either. But um, this is Picture This Plus 18 count shale, and I do like the way it's coming along. So, what I've decided to do since I'm stuck in the house and I'm quarantined, and the conference that I was supposed to go to this summer is canceled, I'm going to spend a week working on my travel piece while I'm at home because that's the week I would have worked on it anyways had I left. And that will be the week, the last week. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm going to work on it in May, and then I may work on it that week uh, when the conference is canceled. They're actually doing a phone conference. I'm not sure how that will work with 10,000 people, but we'll see. Um, so that is a lot for Mania, but I think it's completely doable because I'm only working, like I said, 5 hours a day. Not 5 hours a day, 5 hours a week. And I am assigning some writing for my students, but they only have to do it if they want their grade to go up because the grades I already submitted, that is the lowest their grade can be. Now, some students have Fs because they don't do work at all, but I'm even trying to get them to write their essay that they didn't turn in before March 13th, which is the last day I was on campus with students. As I finish my projects that I showed you, I have 4 kits that I'm going to start. And I don't know which ones I will start. Maybe I'll start with the sweetheart tree because I wanted to do a biscornu. And this is Halloween pumpkins, but I don't have any of the floss. But the good thing is, since it's still April, I could put in my order to 123 Stitch and get that in time. But I'll have to see if that's what I'm gonna if I'm going to work on that. I do like it, and I'm excited about trying a biscornu, but not maybe not yet because these other four kits are ready to go. So I'm definitely going to start this Jim Shore Santa, and it is a Mill Hill kit. I love the green and the red together, but that puppy dog is just adorable. And so this is going to be one of my starts. I have to get my other two Mill Hills done. And then I have a dimensions kit that I absolutely love. The colors are just striking. This one, plus the one I just showed you, Jim Shore, these are on plastic. They're not on the paper. Now, this dimensions, ho, 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 this is on cloth. And I may start this one. And I also have this dimensions kit, the train. So out of the ones, I'm definitely going to start Jim Shore, but if and I really like this one, I just love the colors in it. But if you have a preference, let me know. This one is Warm Hearts. This one, let's call Ho Ho Ho. And I also have the train. And I love all three of them equally. So I don't know which ones I'll start, but again, you can let me know which ones your preferences are, or if you've done any of them. All right. So if you are, if you don't want to hear my life update, I do not hold that against you, and I wish you well as you leave. But I'd like to talk a little bit about why I'm in quarantine and what happened. And this is just so that I can go back and remember what had happened. And I have Crohn's disease. It's an autoimmune disease. I've had it, or I was diagnosed at 17, but I was having a lot of issues with it for years before that. And now I get infusions every 7 weeks. And I go to the infusion clinic, which is part of oncology. So they're open 7 days a week, which is nice because I like getting, or I like having my appointments on Sunday. There's no traffic. I don't have to fight for parking. Fewer people actually show up on Sunday, so it's quieter. And I went in on Easter because that was my appointment. And I felt confident that Kaiser would do its job and help keep the patient safe. And about halfway through my treatment, someone came in with all the symptoms of COVID 19. The person fit the demographics, being old. The person wasn't able to walk, they were wheeled in, and the person could not stop coughing. And I was amazed that they would let a patient like this into the treatment center. And I actually used my call button to have someone come, and I asked, is that patient wearing a mask? And they said yes. And I believed that Kaiser would keep us safe. I was wearing my mask the entire time, which is a good thing, but I had about a half an hour left, and the patient did not stop coughing once. And I could see the patient from my cubicle. Unfortunately, when I got up to leave, she did not have her mouth covered, and the nurses were, well, they had to help her, but she couldn't breathe. And yeah, they were scrambling to put her into a private room. But my question is, why would they let someone into the treatment area that's clearly sick and has symptoms of COVID 19? That doesn't mean she has it, but it put everybody at risk. And in the infusion center, we have autoimmune diseases, and our autoimmune system is already in jeopardy. And for them to bring someone in that was that ill, to me, was unacceptable, because as a patient, I was expecting them to make sure that it was safe for the rest of us, and they just did not do that. And that is why this is now my second week of quarantine. I have not left the house. My parents did some shopping for me. They brought me lunch a couple times, but I have got been able to get a lot of stitching done. So I'd like to wish you and your family health, and I hope everyone is doing well. It's a time to reflect on what is important to us. And for me, I believe it would be criminal for me to leave the house and possibly infect so many other people when it's simple to stay home and shelter in place. So please make good decisions that benefit all of us, and have a wonderful Stitch Mania.